22.3 years. South Park has dictated that 22.3 years need to pass in order for a tragedy to become funny. This then begs the question, how many years does it take for a point-and-click adventure game to be made about a tragedy and have it not be in poor taste? Enter Hidden Mysteries Titanic, Secrets of the Faithful Voyage. It is one of many games in the Hidden Mysteries series. This Titanic entry is available on the DS, Wii, and PC via Steam. This review is based off of the Wii version of the game. You play as Margaret Ashley, a newlywed boarding the RMS Titanic to sail from Southampton and find a new life in New York City. Your mother is the only person in the game with any sense, as you begin the game with her attempting to talk you out of the journey. A bad feeling she has about the Titanic. Ignoring your mother's wishes, you board anyway, and partake in a standard point-and-click adventure. The game is intelligently compartmentalized into multiple different areas of the Titanic, each broken down into multiple different rooms. No more than one area is accessible to you at any given time, so you can concentrate on the few rooms you have at your disposal without being overwhelmed with too much choice. As you venture from room to room, you will speak with a couple of key passengers aboard the ship, and they will give you different errands to run. These errands usually involve finding different items aboard the ship, taking part in different hidden object scenarios, puzzles, or minigames. The quality of these tasks is varying, to put it lightly. Let's talk about the hidden object scenarios, as they are really a staple of the genre. It's unfortunate that these sections are super bad, for a few different reasons. The first problem is that all the hidden objects you are looking for are the exact same. One scene might have you looking for 10 ping pong balls, one might have you looking for 10 matches, etc. It's a pretty serious lack of variety, but that's not the only problem facing these sections. A lot of the objects are really difficult to see. I know, that's kind of the point for a hidden object game, but they're really difficult to see in a bad way. At least on this Wii version, the aliasing is so bad that some of the smaller objects are really tough on the eyes. Aliasing isn't the only problem I imagine is less prevalent on the other versions. Would it be a Wii game without tacked on and terrible motion controls? The way in which you navigate through the entire game is by pointing the Wii remote and clicking on different objects and people. This works well enough. Some sections require your click to be a little too specific for my tastes, but the real villain here is the motion control driven minigames. Whether you're slicing, throwing, shaking, you'll be forced to put up with some of the most unresponsive motion controls I have ever encountered, married to some of the ugliest animations and visuals in gaming. Maybe lack of animations is a better way to put it. Take a look at this minigame where you have to traverse through the tunnels. There are literally 0 frames of animations on the sprite. It just shifts forward and turns side to side. It's embarrassing, and it looks like a school project. Animation problems are only the beginning of the presentation iceberg. The visual recreation of the Titanic itself is a mixed bag. Most of the in-game sections look decent, but the cutscenes really don't do it any favors. All of the characters are represented through still images on top of backdrops. The models live anywhere in the range of lifeless to downright disturbing. It's all seriously uncanny and makes it hard to take the story it is attempting to tell seriously. I think the general direction that the story takes is a mistake. It's a personal story about Margaret's new and already lackluster marriage. It doesn't really go anywhere, and the stories you experience through the side characters are of an equally bad quality. Anything involving the young boy George feels especially pointless. I wouldn't have minded some slice of life, but the voice acting here makes it far too grating to be enjoyable.
It's all for me! Mom!
Just hold still. If you don't hold still, it will only get worse.
I want me mom!
Just what is going on here?
Oh, it's you. This blighter...
Me name's George! I done told you already!
You do have some sections where you can pick which response you would like to give in dialogue. Normally your options are be nice or be mean, but there is a Telltale-esque who will you save option at the very end as you attempt to escape the sinking ship via lifeboat. It seems pretty clear that the presentation of this game is a little too jarring to deliver anything more emotionally worthwhile. I think the game could have benefited from leaning a little bit more into a historical experience, give you a worthwhile tour of the Titanic. It's a shame it doesn't really do this in the main campaign. There's a general dissonance between the gameplay and the narrative here, especially everything that you do after the Titanic strikes the iceberg. There's an urgency in the atmosphere. The ship is struck and the main character is cognizant that you are sinking, but nothing about the puzzles change. Maybe having a time limit on some of them would have really made you feel the pressure. Time sensitive or not, most of the puzzle-style minigames are really strong. There's a wide variety of brain teasers that they encompass, and most of them are intuitive enough to get through. If you do get stuck on any particular puzzle, or you just don't want to experience them at all, you can opt to skip the puzzle with zero penalty. My favorite puzzle happens after the Titanic is struck. You get access to some door controls that let you shift water into different parts of the ship at varying levels. You can then travel to these rooms, and depending on the water level, different things might be accessible. It's a really fun puzzle that engages multiple different rooms in the point-and-click adventure at the same time. It reminded me a lot of the Water Temple from Ocarina of Time, which is a solid core idea despite the shoddy execution in that game. Moment to moment, I think my largest frustration with Hidden Mysteries Titanic was the hint system. It is thankfully unlimited and will helpfully circle any items you need to click on in a given room. The problem is that if you have completed everything you need to do inside of a room, the only hint that you will get is that you're done here. It doesn't give you any direction as to what room you need to go to next, so you'll go from room to room hitting the hint button until something is circled if you don't know where to go. I wish it would at least nudge me in the right direction, instead of leaving me totally aimless. As the main campaign finished, I was left largely unsatisfied with the game. The Titanic is such an interesting story, and can be an awesome backdrop for some really good drama, as James Cameron proved, but there's really nothing worthwhile going on here. As the final cutscene wrapped up, I noticed a bonus option in the main menu. To my amazement, they hid the best part of this game behind this bonus option that I'm sure most people will totally miss. It's a small campaign, separate from the main campaign. It takes place current day, with you clicking around the sunken Titanic. Everything is narrated by the captain of the ship, who regretfully recounts the actions that led up to the infamous sinking of the Titanic, and what could have been done differently. He talks about how the steel on the side of the ships was cobbled together and not strengthened enough, how warnings of the icebergs were ignored so passengers could take personal messages, and so much more. This is what the game should have been. You get the chance to chart your own course for the Titanic, one that might have saved her from her inevitable doom. Why is such an awesome historical perspective on the Titanic considered bonus content, hidden away behind a mediocre drama? The captain going over the hubris of both him and the society that caused this inevitable downfall, it was reminiscent of the Greek tragedy of Icarus. Hidden Mysteries Titanic, despite its cool setting, did not manage to break the shackles of point-and-click mediocrity. There is an iOS-based sequel, which may have some improvements, but that's a different video.
We were all taking part in history. We were the envy of the rest of the world. Hubris. We never stood a chance.